everybody, what's up? Gookil here, back with another video. You have to apologize for the video spam. It's quite a busy week because Season 5 starts on Friday, and once Season 5 starts, that means that there's not going to be a ton of video content coming for about the first week or two because I'll be very busy just playing the game and trying to gear up. So I'm trying to get as much out as possible before seasons actually start. That being said, there's a ton of content for Demon Hunters to know about. There's a ton of builds that are viable and work and are competitive, and I don't know if I'm going to get to making a video on every single one, but as you guys might have seen, my favorite builds to use are Unhallowed Essence, and it's the one that I like to talk about and play the most, so that's why I would like to get content out, and that's what this video centers on. This video is going to be what I consider to be the fastest Torment 10 speed build, not only in just for Demon Hunters, but in the entire game. This build is insanely fast. It's a lot faster than it was in Season 4 due to the benefit of a few new items as well as a reworking of the Unhallowed Essence set. So I don't want to waste too much time talking about it. So let's just get right into what you need for it. You absolutely need to have your 6-piece Unhallowed Essence set. This is a non-negotiable. In order to maximize this build, you need to make sure you have all 6 pieces equipped. A Royal Ring of Grandeur just is not going to cut it. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing the same standard things as dexterity, resist all, vitality, and sockets as you can on each piece of gear. It helps if you have a helm that can get multi-shot damage on it, as well as dex and crit, which I understand is a pretty rare roll, so it's okay if you don't have that and you just have dex, vit, socket. But what's really important is to make sure that you have cooldown now on your shoulders, your gloves, and if you can manage to swing it, getting it on your quiver or getting it on your amulet. I've been lucky enough to get a pretty nicely rolled Flavor of Time to get cooldown on the amulet. The reason why we want cooldown is because on Kanai's Cube now, you're able to have Dawn, a reworked weapon for patch 2.4, which gives you reduced cooldown on Vengeance by 65%. That means if you are hovering very close to the 37% cooldown reduction, that means that you're going to have 100% uptime on Vengeance, which is what really makes this build move super fast. You're going to want to make sure that you maintain with focus and restraint on your rings. The reason being is because it still offers the best damage boost in the game. It's multiplicative. It is amazing still. You want to make sure that you're balancing out your primary and spending skills to maintain that buff. Deadman's Legacy has gotten a really nice reworking where now Multishot is able to roll on a range between 75% and 100%. Mine didn't roll the best, but I just am using it because it had the best overall stats when you include the secondary roll of Max Discipline, the Multishot. So this is just the best one that I've found, but there's obviously better ones to find. You want to make sure we stick with Yang's Recurve so that you're attacking faster. This is where the bulk of your damage comes from. And then the two items that really make this build are the Warzeshian Arm Guards, because every time you destroy a wreckable object, and with the speed that you are going through the rift, you will break objects a lot. You will get a short burst of speed. So it's not really short, it's pretty consistent. And then lastly, Gold Wrap. And now the reason why Gold Wrap is important only for this build, it does not work at all for Greater Rifts. It is only important for farming because you will be picking up a lot of gold, and that is what is really going to boost up your toughness so that you're able to just absolutely walk through things. I've been able to get my toughness personally up to about 7-8 billion. That's the highest that I've seen it. I'm sure you could go higher, but it's also not necessary. But the more gold you pick up, the more you're going to buff up your toughness. If we talk about Paragon priorities for a little bit, you pretty much just want to make sure that your movement speed is as max as it could be. Mine is kind of wonky right now. I'm not sure why it's like that. But you want to make sure that your movement speed is maxed out at 25%. So either combining what you have on your boots with your Paragon points, so I have 12% on my boots, 13% movement speed Paragon, or if you have good stats on your boots, you don't need movement speed, then this goes to 25%, then max out your dex. For offense, I like to buff up my crit chance first, and then go to critical hit damage. Cooldown reduction is a super nice thing to use if you don't have the cooldown required on your gear. This will kind of put you over the top, then go for cooldown reduction, and then after that, lastly go into attack speed. Attack speed is the least important because we get a lot of it from Yang's Recurve. For Paragon points in defense, you want to buff up your resist all first, then you want to go to your life. After that, go armor, and then go life regen. And then for utility, you want to make sure that you buff up the area damage and then your life on hit. Go resource cost reduction last because, well, you don't need it. And gold find is the last one that you can do. If you want to put added emphasis on picking up gold from gold wrap, you can prioritize gold find a little bit higher than resource cost reduction or life on hit, but I still think that's the least useful of those stats. When we get into skills, it's pretty much the same base skills that you would use from last season. Evasive Fire and Multishot Arsenal are the two best skills to still use for alternating for your focus and restraint. You still want to use Vault Tumble in combination with Tactical Advantage so that you're moving quickly at all times. We combine our Hot Pursuit with that so that every time we hit an enemy we gain more movement speed, which is what the catch to this is, more movement speed. And then we're going to have our Wolf Companion, because now with all the added cooldown reduction, we're going to be able to spam this more frequently, which just means that you're doing more damage. And Preparation Invigoration is mandatory because of its synergy with the Unhallowed Essence set. The more discipline you have, the more damage you're going to deal. The new addition to this build in comparison to last season is using Vengeance and using the Seethe rune with it. Gaining 10 hatred per second is absolutely no laughing matter. It will make it so that you can spam Multishot as much as you want. If you have 37% cooldown reduction, you're going to have 100% uptime on this. It is super, super powerful, and it allows you to open up that Kanai's cube slot, because now you don't need Cinder Coat, you don't need Pride's Fall, you don't need any reduced resource cost, because it is going to just put your hatred regen through the roof. Ballistics is the passive that you absolutely need to make sure that you're maximizing damage, because you're shooting out so many rockets that Multishot Arsenal is only going to get a huge damage buff from that. So, with our Kanai's cube slot open, yes, we still use Convention of Elements because it's the best damage boosting ring in the game, but this is where things get interesting. If you are playing by yourself, it is by far the most efficient to have your Nemesis Bracers, because you're going to hit a lot of shrines and pylons, and now Torment Rifts have been reworked so that rares and blues now drop progress globes. So the more enemies that you face, the more elites, is the more progress you're going to get, which is what's going to help boost you through your rift. There are some alternatives that you can use. Say, for example, you are running this in a group and somebody else is using Nemesis Bracers. One of the things that you can use is Gloves of Worship. The reason that you can do that is because if you go into a movement shrine and then now that buff lasts for 10 minutes instead of just the short period of time that it normally lasts for, then that is really, really good. You can also use Crumb's Buff Belt, which is going to increase your run speed by 25% as long as you're not taking any damage. And then other than that, if you want to just go for the pure damage and you're not worried about getting more movement speed, or you're not worried about your shrine buffs or anything else that's going on, you can also just put Gold Wrap into your cube, and then you can maybe alternate in a Witching Hour or whatever belt that it is that you would prefer to use. So that's kind of the gist explanation of skills and gear as combination with Kanai's cube. The last thing to talk about, legendary gems. So Zaystone of Vengeance is going to be where you get the bulk of your damage from as far as legendary gems go, because you will constantly be shooting things at the far edge of the screen. At least that's the goal of this, because you're just going to be vaulting and shooting, vaulting and shooting. So you want to use this because it's going to increase your damage for how far away you are from mobs. And then we want to combine our Boon of the Hoarder, which is really what's going to work best with Gold Wrap. Enemies are going to be able to drop gold frequently, which means that you're just going to get more toughness, which means that you won't die. And every time you pick up gold, you're going to get more movement speed. And lastly, I prefer to go with Wreath of Lightning. Under the effect of Wreath of Lightning, you have 25% movement speed, and then the secondary effect is that you are able to deal weapon damage as lightning damage to people that are around you. So that's a lot of talking, that's a lot of information. If something was hard to follow, or maybe I didn't explain something well enough, there is a link below to the written out Diablofans Build guide. It is updated for 2.4, so you guys can reference that. I'm just going to show you guys a quick video at the end here of doing Torment 10 Rifts really, really fast. So feel free to watch that, be entertained by it, check it out. Otherwise, this was a build video from me. Next, I'll try to cover off Unhallowed Essence and its Greater Rift solo form, and what skills you want to use and what gems you want to use in order to push solo Greater Rifts with Unhallowed Essence. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button if you like the content. Here is some Torment 10 Speed Rifts.